Hi again. Since we're talking about spirituality, you have to wonder about the world's religions. There's a lot of religions. I was actually going to look up before I sat down. I was going to look it up and see how many different kinds of religions are there in the world. And I'm going to go with, there's probably going to be like 1,000, maybe more. I mean, there's the big ones, of course, that we all know: Hindu, Buddhist, Christianity, all those. But there's a lot of really small little religions that people don't know about. Zoroastrianism, Eckankar. There's lots of them. And are any of them right? I did a little traveling through different religions, not most of them, of course, just the ones that I could get to from where I lived. I didn't have a car, so I had to take a bus. But after my experience with the minister when I was 12, I decided that I really would like to find out which religion is right. I knew there was something more than what I was getting at that Primitive Methodist church. But, I didn't know what it was. At first, I kept with the Christian religions. I went to a Roman Catholic church. And for a while, I didn't become a member. I just wanted to go and listen. And back then, they were still talking in Latin, so everybody seemed to be paying attention, but I don't know whether they understood one word that the priest was saying. And after that, there was another church. It was also a Catholic church in our town, but they didn't call it a Roman Catholic church. They called it like an Italian Catholic church or something. And that was fun because they talked English, and they were like using guitars and stuff instead of just the organ, so that was fun. Went to a Baptist church for a while, my mom's church, the one she had gone to, and the one I would have been baptized at 12 years old. And then I decided to try to see what a Jewish synagogue would offer me. So I went there with a friend for a while. Downtown, not downtown exactly, but close to downtown, we had a lot of hospitals and colleges in this one area. And so because there's a lot of international students, they had other groups meeting, Buddhist groups, Hindu. Now we have a Hindu temple here in our town, but we didn't back then. There was no Muslim temple, so I didn't have a chance to do anything with Muslim religion other than study it. I became very, very interested in religion, and especially in dogma, the part that the people made, So I studied religion for 4 years. This was after I'd tried quite a few. Never really found one that fit for me. Later in my life, I tried a couple of other ones. And for a while, I even taught Sunday school. I decided to teach it my way, the way I thought it should be. And so there was a Presbyterian church in our town, very easy to walk to every day, or when you would go to church. And so I thought, well, my kids should have something, a religious background anyway, So we went to this Presbyterian church, and the minister was from England, and a lot of my relatives are from England, although I've only met one of them, but I just love the accent, Plus the Beatles were from England. So I really liked it there. Reverend Maxwell was his name, and he was really nice. And so at some point after I was doing the Sunday school, I decided to also do the children's choir to work with them. And this one song that I had them sing was called One God. And the words, I always loved them. And millions of stars were placed in the sky by one God. Millions of men lift up their eyes to one God. One Father, loving each the same. Many the ways of all of us prayed to one God. Many the paths finding their way to one God. And that the whole idea of that really appealed to me. And so I I taught the kids this wonderful song and they sang it. And after they were done singing it, it was a song of unification, you know. And after they were done singing it, Reverend Maxwell got up and, that was wonderful, boys and girls, you just are so wonderful. He turned to the congregation and said, but remember, you have to love Jesus. You have to love God in Jesus, or you won't go to heaven. Kind of bummed me out. Because the song was so, everybody's really doing the same thing, basically, you know, and that's true. What I have found out about religion, if we erase all the man-made stuff, all the dogma, all the politics, I mean, so much of it is just not anything that any prophet would have ever wanted to happen. When it comes down to it, though, all the religions do teach basically the same thing, that we should love God, and that's a whole other video. How do we love God if we don't know what God is, or how do we love Him? Loving God, one thing we should be doing, and loving one another is the other message, that we should love each other, that we should love God and love each other. And then all the dogma starts slipping in. But really, the bottom line, it does not matter which religion you listen to. It's always the same message. Love God, love each other, which is pretty much the same thing. Are there any religions out there that are the right ones? The ones that actually tell the truth? The one that we should kind of work toward, you know, that one, you know. Not really. I mean, I think we attach ourselves to particular religions for particular reasons. The main reason is that's the way we were raised. My mother was Baptist, so maybe then I would be Baptist. Sorry. My mother and father were raised as Hindus, so why wouldn't I be Hindu, you know? And very few people get to a place where they really can completely walk away from what they learned when they were kids. They may not believe it anymore, they may question it, but that's kept inside. I remember when the book, The Da Vinci Code came out, by Dan Brown, wonderful writer. I mean, everything he wrote was so good because he used a lot of facts. He weaved a story. The fiction was much less than the fact, you know, so he used the truth and made a story around it. And one thing he did in his book was talk about the idea, and this has been rumored for thousands of years, the idea that Jesus didn't die on the cross. He actually married Mary Magdalene, they had a couple kids, and he died of old age, probably at like 50. People didn't live very long back then. And it wasn't that part of the book that was fascinating to me, although that was kind of cool to know that those beliefs are out there too, you know, that there's contradictions to a lot of things, not just in Christianity, but all religions. And so I said to my niece, I brought this book. We were somewhere for the weekend together. I said, I brought this book to give to you. You're going to really like it. She said, oh, no. I don't want to read that. I said, why not? She said, I just heard it says stuff about, you know, God and Jesus and, you know. And I said, but it's all weaved around the truth, you know, so it's not a bad book or anything. I mean, it might open your eyes. And she said, I don't want anything to threaten what I believe. I don't want anything to be out there that I might start doubting what I believe. So she didn't read the book. And in my mind, I'm going to sneeze. Sorry. And then that happened. In my mind, don't you just love sneezing? It feels so good. Anyway, from my perspective, who I am, all I could think was, well, it's only a book, you know. And even if there was some truth in it, and you had to face that, is it a bad thing to know what's true? It was for her. And I think probably for a lot of people. I think a lot of people took real, you know, they had real problem with that book because it went against what they were taught. That didn't have to mean it was true. You can believe whatever you want to believe. You can believe that book was all BS. It could have been, you know. I just thought it was well written. The story was very compelling, you know, because it wasn't just about Jesus and Mary Magdalene. That was like a teeny weeny part of it, you know. Anyway, is there a true religion? Is there one religion that fits every single scenario, every single person, every single culture, you know, every single human need? I don't think there is. I don't. Because it's all about where religions have come from, how they started to begin with, right? That's another video. I'm just going to make you watch a million of them to figure out what the heck I'm talking about. So, the world's religions were built around a need to explain where things came from, a need to feel safe in the arms of something greater than ourselves, the need to have community, to be loved. And depending on where each tribe was, because back in the long ago days, it was tribes, right? It was little villages of people. And I'm sure each village, each group of people had their own beliefs about, you know, the sun, the moon, the stars, the trees, the babies being born, people dying, you know. They all had their own thing that they kind of created over the course of some years or even decades, who knows. And so we all looked at God and what we think God is in our own unique way, depending on where the heck we were born in the world and what tribe we were descended from. And probably some truth that weaved itself through our lifelong tapestry, our human story. But almost every tribe was looking for something beyond themselves. Somehow everybody seemed to know that it was something that was more than who they were. And there were lots of names for God. There were lots of names for soul, for sin, prayer. It's like my father. His church was in the woods. His prayer was just sitting quietly, waiting for the lizards to come out from under the rocks. That was no less than a devout Catholic who's holding his rosary beads and, you know, saying his Hail Marys. And it's the same thing. So, is one religion right? I don't think anything is 100% right as far as that's concerned. I think that it fits people who need it to be what it is for their experience right now. I mean, I'm sure I've been in a lot of different religions over the, you know, centuries or thousands of years that I've been hanging around here. Maybe that's why my interest in religion. Maybe I've been in so many different religions over the years that I'm really interested in finding out about that. I don't have an absolute answer for what about all the world's religions. What about them? You know? I think the only real response I have, if somebody would say, well, what about those world religions, is they're very valid for the people who need them. None of them are wrong. They're exactly right for the people who need them. And you and I, we've probably needed them sometime in the past, or maybe we will in the future. You know, we need all the religions. I need to be Jewish. I need to be Hindu. I need to be an atheist. I need to be a Christian. I need to be all of those things. Because how do I understand? How do I find empathy? How do I find forgiveness or love if I don't really know? Love is freedom. It's the freedom to love. So, I'd probably talk a little bit more about religion at some point. More often, spirituality. Because to me, that's the thread that binds it all. So, don't forget to subscribe if you like my videos. Make sure you like them. And I hope to see you again very soon. Thanks for listening.